going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV and welcome back to another Box to Box. I know Turkish is not here, but I'm a big fan of this show. Not the channel, I'm a fan of the channel as well. But a fan of this show, so I wanted to make sure it stays on. And we got Dave from Talking Wolves to join us and give us a full breakdown on Wolves. Obviously, we're playing them this Saturday on the weekend. Big game for Arsenal. Back to Premier League football after the win in the Champions League, the 3-0 win. Dave, firstly, how are you feeling? How are you first? Just get the niceties out of the way. How's everything?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I wish the football was the same, mate. But yeah, I mean, personally, all okay. Just need the results on the pitch to improve. And that might make me a little bit happier.
All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't start this weekend. Hopefully we can leave that till next weekend. But I'm going to get straight into it because you know where I'm going. Straight away, we're going to Cunha. Yeah, we need to get this one. Just get it out of the way first. Let's get this conversation around Cunha and whether, just everything really. Firstly, obviously, I heard there was some reports about after the game, I think against Chelsea, that something about the fans and whatnot. Can you just give us an idea? I know they spoke about it in the preview that's out on AFTV. James mentioned it, but I want to get your thoughts and you know what happened, I suppose, from your perspective. And is it cleared?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Cunha, going back a little bit, Cunha had the little suspension for what happened after the Ipswich game, where he sort of overreacted a little bit and sort of did what he did with the Ipswich staff, and then he had the flu, and then he sort of came back. This was his first start really since the suspension against Chelsea, and I was at Stamford Bridge and I knew as soon as the game kicked off, I looked at him and I thought this could be a long evening, because in terms of body language he just looked like a player that did not want to be there, and I remember after the full-time whistle, obviously you're quite upset with the result anyway, but I remember after the full-time whistle I couldn't see Cunha in the group of players that were thanking the fans for coming or whatever. And one of our local journalists basically put Cunha has gone straight down the tunnel. He led with that sort of questioning in the post-match press conference to Vitor Pereira, which Vitor obviously said he wasn't happy about the situation and so on. And then Cunha hit back at the journalist, basically saying, "You're a liar. I thanked the referee. I was there." And then a fan had a video where it does show Cunha clapping the fans, albeit, in my opinion, a little bit half-heartedly. He sort of comes 10 yards into our half, claps them and then goes straight down the tunnel. Whereas with defeats like that, especially on the road, you hope that, especially in the position that Wolves are in as a team, they're together at the end. And so it was, I think, from both sides. I think Cunha probably overreacted with his response, but the journalist maybe was a little bit wrong to jump to conclusions and sort of lead with that questioning as well. So over the last few days, obviously it's brought massive question marks over Matheus's future at the club, and a lot of journalists are jumping on that, and I think his agent's probably been working overtime over the last week or so to see if there's any options out there.
I can imagine. Where's the frustration building from, do you think? Is it falling out with the manager? Is it the last three results obviously haven't gone great. I mean, you've conceded 3 or plus goals. Like, is it the run of form, or is it the situation? Obviously, he's linked to us. He's linked to Nottingham Forest, I believe, as well. So, where do you think the main frustration is coming from? Was it just the manager and the way he dresses?
I don't know, because he sort of praised the manager after, and I mean, it's easy to after you win games, but after the first couple of games under Pereira, we'd won. Cunha was phenomenal in both of those games, and we saw a lot of praise for Cunha and the manager together. There were images of them like passionately hugging each other and stuff like that. You thought, okay, this might be the start of a decent manager-player relationship. I think the issue with Vitor Pereira is, and he had this before he came to Wolves, he's almost a bit too honest. And I think you do have to be careful with that honesty, especially when it's against your best players. So without obviously Cunha coming out publicly, I don't really know where his head is at. I've seen instances earlier on in the season where he physically looked frustrated, and he sort of took that out on the fans, sort of trying to G them up, but saying, "Come on, you're not cheering hard enough. You're not, supporting the team enough." Mm-hmm. And then 2 weeks later, he scores a goal, and he looks like he's loving life and loving being a Wolves player. So I really don't know. I think a player of that quality is too good to be in the position that Wolves are in. Full stop, really.
Fair.
And I think for a player of his quality, he's probably worried maybe that he doesn't necessarily want a relegation on his CV, really. So. Part of me at the moment, if you're asking me for a prediction on whether he will be a Wolves player, I still think he will be a Wolves player come the end of the month.
Okay.
Purely because I think the fee Wolves will want, I don't think anyone will pay currently.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if I know for a fact the Matheus Cunha that rocked up on Monday is going to be, in terms of attitude, is going to be here for the rest of the season, then I think it gives Wolves a decision to make. I think if you know his head's not in the game, I think you have to consider maybe moving him on by the end of the month.
Well, let's talk just a tiny bit more on it quickly. How much is the reported fee that you think Wolves really want for him?
I think Wolves would probably be aiming for 75 to 80 million, personally. the issue with it is, and Sky Sports said Wolves would entertain 60 million, which I just can't see because Wolves paid 45 million for him. He's got 2.5 years left on his deal. It's just not enough, really. But saying that, if they go down, you won't get any more than 45, 50 million for him. So it's sort of that balancing act, really. So I think he'll stay. It's a big risk for Wolves. I think regardless, he'll be gone in the summer. We said the same with Neto. We said the same with Neves previously as well. I think he will be gone.
And all good players. Listen, Wolves have been littered with good players, I think, throughout the time. That's why it's always a surprise. And I'll be honest, you get a chance to watch the preview of this. Lee, Judges, James and Laurie give Wolves such big credit. Like they're nervous about the game. They've all predicted low score lines. They always feel like Wolves is a struggle. And I was watching it quite confused because at times, like, of recent, I mean, the last 5 times we've beaten you. But however, before that, there's some dubious results. I mean, there's some red cards in there. David Luiz one. There's a Martinelli double red card. There's a few, and like I said, you've had good players. So there's some question marks, but we should build confidence from times of playing you. I think at times, but they gave you a lot of respect. And at the end of the day, I suppose it's the Premier League. Anyone could be anyone. Just finally on Matheus Cunha, do you want him to play on Saturday? Is it? I mean, he's an amazing player. 10 goals, 4 assists, of course. But like you said at Chelsea, that if you've seen the body language, if a player has his head somewhere else, is it more a detriment him playing, or do you not care? Do you think, regardless, listen, he has to play in these sort of games, and he might see it. I suppose he might even see it as I don't want to say an audition, but I've said that before.
I understand what you mean. I think for Wolves, ultimately, he has to play. I think Matheus Cunha is probably the main reason Wolves aren't in the bottom 3 at the moment. He's our best footballer. So I think without him, Wolves will be a significantly weaker side. Look, the talk to Arsenal, at the moment, we know it's all speculation. There haven't been formal bids or whatever. So, we can talk about it, but we don't know for solid fact that interest is even real. So, all being well...
By the way, we do this a lot. Arsenal we might make up the whole... Yeah, the whole interest.
We do. I think every football fan does. They see something and sometimes they'll run with it. Arsenal fans, I know, I think it was every time we have a run up to an Arsenal game around the transfer window. I think last season it was Neto, and we played you right at the start of the season, and I had so many questions about Neto.
Yeah.
And it was all over. If I gave a response like I've given you, it would be all over social media. It's crazy. Like the Arsenal fans loved it. Yeah. So, but ultimately, like you would hope he's going to be a professional, and whilst he's a Wolves player, he'll give it 100% for Wolves. And you would hope. I know it may not work in Arsenal's favour, but you would hope he'd put in his very best performance against Arsenal, especially if it is a team that are eyeing him up possibly this window.
Yeah, fair enough. And you're right. I think even that reported fee that you're kind of saying, I think that might even get a lot of wind online, because I didn't even think he was. Well, Wolves would probably want him to look for that, but I suppose they can. It's a January window. He's such an integral player for you guys, even though there is disputes. I mean, amongst him and maybe the manager. That's a high price tag. Just finally, sorry, I keep saying finally, but I want to a weakness for you that. Because for me, we see a lot of his strengths, goal scoring. I think he brings in players as well very well when it comes to a team. But I always like to ask a reverse question: is there a weakness you see in his game, or
It's probably his work off the ball. I think Gary O'Neill was quite vocal about it, and then there was like a spell over a couple of weeks where he really knuckled down and you started to see, I think, a great game. And maybe you can't read into it too much because it was Southampton, but Southampton at home, he was just phenomenal. It was just an unbelievable performance, the energy levels that he brought. But Vitor Pereira's brought it up as well. He brought it up over the last couple of weeks. So it is probably that, like, ability on the ball, driving forward. He just glides with the ball. Players bounce off him, so good. Such a presence in and around the area. But as soon as he loses it, you need to give him a bit of a kick up the backside, I think, to try and work off the ball. And I'm intrigued because obviously Arsenal linked with him. I think Arsenal as an outsider, need a proper number 9, and I don't think Matheus is that player right now.
That's fair. And you know what? Now you've just said that's his weakness. In an Arteta team, I'll be honest, if you don't work off the ball, doesn't really bode well for you as a player. So that's very interesting. I appreciate you letting me know in on that. Right, Vitor Pereira. Let's talk. Let's talk Wolves. Let's talk the game as well. Just quickly, what have you made of him so far? Because again, like the last couple of results haven't been great. Obviously, he's come in, I think, like mid-December. He's obviously a new manager. You're sitting in 17th, but I always feel like Wolves find their way out of that. I know they always flirt with relegation at times.
Yeah.
But I love the away day at Wolves. I can't give you more credit. Molineux, we had a lot of good access in the previous times AFTV going into the stadium. Big them up every time. I love the fire show. I know it's a little thing, but I like that before the game. There's always lovely people. Listen, really big fan of you guys. So I hope you guys stay up. But what have you made of the manager this season so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Vitor came in and it was a bit of a difficult situation for Wolves because Gary O'Neill arguably failed at Wolves. The defensive record was awful. Fans were quite frustrated with him a lot earlier than what he was actually sacked. But unfortunately, and I think a lot of outsider fans actually don't know this, the ownership and the way the club is run at the moment is awful in terms of finances, in terms of the backing of the team. It's really bad at the moment. And I think ultimately the reason why Gary O'Neill lasted so long in his job was because Wolves couldn't find somebody that was happy to work under the current situation and conditions. Right. I mean, we linked, I think Moyes rejected us, Potter, Conceição. I think they even approached Allegri, crazily, but they all said no because ultimately Wolves just wouldn't back the manager, and we've seen that this window as well. And Vitor has come in. I think they found a manager there that is quite. He wants the best out of his players. You can see in previous press conferences, he is quite a fiery character. He likes to play five at the back, which probably is what suits Wolves best. But when he came in, I mean, the run of fixtures he had to start off with were okay. Leicester, United, and Spurs. Although United and Spurs are struggling, they're always tough games going into those. But we smashed Leicester. We beat United, although they did go down to 10 men. And we got a positive result away at Spurs, who drew 2-2. And that was going into New Year. You're thinking, all right, 3 games, 3 unbeaten. But now the last 3, 3-0 defeat to Forest, 3-0 defeat to Newcastle, and now most recently 3-1 to Chelsea. So in terms of chances created, we're creating chances, just not putting the ball in the back of the net. But exactly the same issues as we saw under Gary O'Neill. Defensively, we have been atrocious, especially from set pieces as well. Ooh. 19 conceded in 22 so far this season, which is just an awful record.
Yeah, that's not good. And as you'll be aware, obviously they tarnish us for corner FC, set piece FC.
I think after Saturday, I think we need to have like a transfer window for staff, and we'll give you Cunha maybe, and you loan us your set piece coach, and I think that should be enough to keep us up.
You can have Nicholas Jover, but you can. I mean, no, actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that because I'm actually a fan of him, big him up every time. But it's just the media have taken it so far. But no, I hear that. That's interesting. So he plays a back five. So he obviously, I think Laurie mentioned this as well on the previous. Said he likes his defence, but you said they're not great at defending. Even at home, then does he stick to? Is it more like low block? So when we play on Saturday, how do you expect it to kind of to be played out? Is he going to go with defensive and try and catch us on the counter, or? Yeah,
I think that's probably the best way that Wolves play, or the best way to describe how I expect us to play. I think we will allow Arsenal a lot of the ball and obviously just try and frustrate you in terms of you trying to break us down. We have got the quality on the counter. I think obviously if Cunha plays, he's brilliant bringing the ball forward. I think João Gomez and Andre Holding are always difficult duo to sort of break through as well. But it's just silly things with the defence. It's just the gaps that are created between the back three at times with players. I've counted maybe 3 or 4 goals over the last few weeks where an opposition player just ghosted into the area, completely unmarked, completely untracked. For Arsenal fans, if you want to watch the Chelsea game, just quickly, you see Cucurella's goal, just literally walks in between the defenders, completely untracked. And it's just silly things like that which are frustrating. But he's got a really interesting sort of way of playing. He likes his back three to have a centre half in the middle and almost wide centre backs or full backs as the left and right centre back. So of course, out of possession, sometimes you can that can get exposed. But I think if he stunk the place out on Saturday and got a 0-0 draw, I would take it right now because we need whatever we can get. If we can get a clean sheet as well, that would be brilliant. But against teams like Arsenal, that's always going to be difficult.
Yeah, and to be fair, that does make sense. Like I said, I mean the fans that did the preview, the 3 I mentioned, they're quite nervous for this game because that's a possibility. And I can't sit here and say I'm extremely confident that we come and dispatch you because that doesn't happen. If I'm honest, the story of Arsenal has been like low scoring games. Granted, you can talk about the 3-0 Champions League game, but I'm eradicating that. If you're talking about like in the league of late, it's been quite low scoring, tough to find the back of the net for Arsenal, in my opinion, when it comes to taking our chances. Even though some can say they're quite minimal, we're not doing that very well. So if you do stink out the place, again, I've said this on many videos that I think Arsenal struggle against a low block, but we also struggle when a game's open and you're going back and forth because I don't think we have the minerals really to go in an open game. I don't think Arteta likes the word an open match. Like he hates that. He likes control. He likes to suffocate teams. So either way, I worry, but I am slightly confident on Arsenal to win this game. I want to get your opinion. I know Turkish loves to do this. On if you've watched Arsenal, just those small things you've seen this season from Arsenal, what have you made of them? Because I think fans right now, when you're in it, you're very much like, there's a game every 3 days, 2 days, and it's like it's a relief as a fan after a game finishes. Mainly when you win, but it's just like, oh my god, we've got another game, and fans have been quite on Arsenal for one, not buying someone currently in this window, but also the fact that we're dropping points, we're getting out of the FA Cup. We lost 2-0 to Newcastle. Obviously, we've got a second leg, but it feels quite low amongst the fan base when I speak to them. It might be changing, but what have you made of it? Because I think from an outside view, we're second in the league, third in the Champions League. I don't know what you make of us so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult. We're starting on the transfers and stuff. The January transfer window, I think every football fan wants their team to sign players, but it is just a notoriously difficult window. I think City have brought players in, but I think they've spent probably over the odds on a couple of the players they've brought in. I think you have to consider that as well. Wolves fans are equally frustrated, in terms of the lack of signings as well. But like I mentioned earlier, I think with Arsenal, they lack sort of that proper number 9, and I think they have done. I love Jesus. I think he's a great player, but obviously injuries are holding him back massively at the moment. I think Havertz has done a lot better than I expected in an Arsenal shirt so far, but probably doesn't fill that number 9 void properly. But I don't know. I think you're right. You look sort of in isolation. You look at where you are in the league, how you're doing in the big competitions like the Champions League. Obviously, the FA Cup is always nice to win, but I think Arsenal fans would probably prefer to mount a proper title challenge and push for the Champions League. I think they've just got to stick with Arteta. Again, like many fan bases, we've mentioned it earlier, Arsenal fans, they can jump on things quite quickly. And I think, yes, there may be a bad run between now and the end of the season, but I think it's important to stick with the manager because there's not that many top managers out there at the moment. I think that can come straight in and change things quite quickly at Arsenal. I think he is a long-term manager and maybe stick with him. And of course, massive injuries as well. I think Saka, such a good player, huge. So pivotal for Arsenal. He was my captain on Fantasy Premier League the week he got injured as well, so he let me down massively. But
apologies for that.
Such a good footballer, and players like that are a massive miss. And at the start of the season, you can't allow for injuries like that, really. So. I think you guys will be fine. I just hope that you maybe let us get a couple of points in on Saturday anyway.
as much as you say that, to be fair, I was gonna say we need them, but I suppose we both in need of 3 points. Especially when guys at the kind of the bottom of the table fighting, and we're at the top, really, not actually top, but we're up there trying to scrap for the league. As much as there's, I think, a lot of doubt that we can go on and win that title. Every little helps right now, if I'm being honest, because we need hope and we've got to try and build momentum, especially off the back of the Champions League win and whatnot. And we got City after you guys next week in the league, so it's an important 3 points. I want to ask you, because you mentioned about injuries, and I think that has been a big thing around Arsenal. I mean, every club is suffering with injuries. Again, I speak about the amount of fixtures there are, especially when you're a top team. It's like back to back competing, but injuries for you. Is there many that... Are you going with a kind of a full squad, really? Or I know there's a few injuries that have been out for a while, but I mean, you've got the likes of Strad Larsen, you spoke about Cunha, Ain't Nori. There's a lot of... João Gomez, you've got such good players. Like I said, I think you're littered with them, but is there anyone that's major that might be missing for Saturday?
Yeah, I think that, defensively we've struggled a little bit. Arsenal fans may remember in the reverse fixture, we had a guy called Mosquera, played at centre-back. I think he caused a couple of... problems, I think, with Arsenal. The guy that grabbed Jesus to the backside.
Oh my God. And I think, I just... Is he out?
He did some... Yeah, he did his ACL a few weeks after that, So,
listen, never wish injury on anyone. But
he did something else, didn't he?
Someone choked someone.
That was it. Choked Havertz.
And then someone put the finger and grabbed the... that's weird.
So he... so that was his, he had played for Wolves previously, but he'd been out on loan for a while, did well in Spain last year, and that was his first sort of game back in the Premier League for Wolves. And everyone was like,
"What the hell?
This could be the best/worst centre-back that we've ever seen," because he's so sort of... You just don't know what to expect from him. But he had a pretty solid start, and then, like I said, he did his ACL, so he was out for the season, which was a big, a big loss for Wolves. Totti Gomez, who... is a little bit of a Marmite player amongst the fan base, but I think it's shown, we won our first 2 games under Vitor with him in the defence, and he's been injured ever since. He's still going to be out for this game, which is a big loss.
Yeah. Boubacar Traoré?
Say again, sorry?
Boubacar
Traoré.
I thought, I don't know, talk to me. I know he's injured, but I've been reading it, I read before as well, a knee injury, but... Did you like? I thought he looked quite athletic, quite a good player, or did he not?
Yeah, he's just been a player that's just never got going at Wolves. I think his profile is probably what a lot of Premier League clubs would like. Big quite athletic, box to box type player. technical ability probably needs a little bit of polishing, but he's still very young, to be fair. And I think he did play against Arsenal last season.
I'm sure I took a liking to him.
Yeah, he looked quite good, but yeah, he just really struggled with injuries. So it'll be interesting to see. He may be in the squad Saturday because I think he's quite close, but I don't think he definitely won't start. But that's sort of the concern with Wolves at the moment. Although we're losing games, we're dropping points. Sort of our 11 that are playing are basically our best 11, so we can't really change it much. So I will be intrigued. I think the defence maybe can have a little bit of a shake-up. I think in terms, he's been playing Matt Doherty as a right centre-back, which first couple of games worked well, but I think it's showing really now he is playing a right back at right centre-back. It's just not worked out. So I think maybe Craig Dawson comes back in, a bit more experience at the back. But other than that, I think you could probably, Cunha will play, Strand Larson will play, Andre and João Gomez. I think there'll be some of those top players in there anyway. And
there's good quality there. We're gonna roll forward to do the score predictions now and how you think the game will play out. Before you do that, just quickly, home or away, are you better? Do you think?
Good question. I can't remember many wins at home this season, to be fair. So I'd say probably most of our wins have been away. I mean, we haven't won many games, but I think most of our wins have been away.
Yeah, so I asked that because I don't really ever ask anyone that, but I just feel like we might be better away. Yeah. But then we haven't lost a game at home. I'm trying to think the games we've even won. We beat United at home, to be fair. That's our most recent league win. Leicester was away. Southampton was at home. It probably is home, to be fair, just. Okay. In terms of form, just say if I just want to just see people listening, if that puts anything in the balance for you guys, I don't know. But yeah, interesting. I think I don't know. I like Wolves away, and I feel like I don't know. Sometimes not many people do. Not many people like Wolves away. Like as away fans. Do you know what? I was so surprised. Sorry to just digress, but I was so surprised in the preview that they listen. Giving you respect is fine, but the way they were kept going on and on about Wolves is a tough place to go in, and maybe it is. I don't know, but I always enjoy it. Maybe because it's just the hospitality and going to Birmingham and that. I don't know, but let's get score predictions of Wolverhampton, shall I say? Let's start with your score prediction. I said to somebody earlier on, I had like a heart and a head prediction because give me that. Give me what you want to happen and give me what you think. My heart is saying that Wolves are going to nick it and beat you 2-1. Fair, but if I'm being realistic and actually think, as a proper football fan, I think Arsenal do us 3-1. To be fair, I think Arsenal. But every big side, Liverpool, City, the teams that have come to Molineux this season, they have beat us, but we've given them really, really tough games. They've had to leave it late to beat us. So, I think we've got the quality to frustrate Arsenal, definitely. But I just think you've got too much quality for us at the moment. Okay, fair. I'm gonna go. I toyed with like 3-1, 2-1, and then I just realised, like, again, I'm not so confident with our attackers converting their chances massively. I think it'll be 2-1, and it's funny you say it could be 2-1 to you, is what your heart says, but that's I think it's going to be 1-1 for a bit of time, and then it's whoever gets that next goal. I think Arsenal will just nick it, and it's interesting. I think we'll deal with Strad Larson if he starts. I think we do very well. Saliba, or he won't be available for that game, sorry, but Gabriel and the centre-backs very good at focusing on the central attacker, and I think they'll mark him out of the game. I think they do well with like those sort of players, but it's always like the ones that are the players that are of danger that we just don't. For some reason, we lapse concentration. So Cunha, I think, will be the one to score the goal. It's the same with like Isak. He's always going to be the one. It's always the ones that you're focused on. Jimenez, when we went to Fulham, like they're the ones that are the danger players. And Mbeumo at Brentford, but we just seem to do well on the main attacker, and then like that one key player always pops up with a goal. So I think it'll be a tight game. I think 2-1. Like I said, I can't come here with masses of confidence, and I guess from your side as well, but. We need Arsenal to get a win. I'm sure you say the same about your club as well. But listen, it is what it is. As long as we get 3 points, that's all that matters. But listen, Dave, thank you as well for joining me on this from Talking Wolves. People, make sure you check him out. There'll be all the links in the description as well of his channel as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and like the video on your way out, people. Take care. See you soon.